Welcome to the Meat Dudes. I'm Evan.
Tyler.
And today we are joined by Chad and Ashley of FYPM Ranch in Northeast Washington. And we're super excited to have them because they're going to talk about their ranch, what they do, a lot of ethical farming, and especially the Mangalitsa pig. And we are fascinated by this pig because it's kind of like the Wagyu beef of pigs, if you will. And they're going to expand on that and talk all about the breed, and we're really excited to have you guys. So welcome. Thanks for joining us out here. I know you guys are just a couple hours out of Spokane here, so you're still local here to Washington. We appreciate that, and we love Washington farms and talking to them. So welcome, guys.
Hey, thank you for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity to kind of spread the word about our business, since we are
and the breed.
Since we're small and we haven't been in business very long. I think a lot of people don't know we exist. So we're just trying to get our name out there. We've had a little bit of
success
here, getting our meat into some restaurants over in Seattle through I think the last guy that you interviewed, Cien from Preservation Meat.
Preservation Meats?
Oh, good. Yep.
Yeah, nice. Well, I didn't know the guys worked with. Maybe I did. Maybe we talked about that briefly on the phone. But that's awesome because we know their standards of farms is super high. So right there, our customer base knows that you guys passed the test already.
And
so that's
Cien definitely vetted us. It was not easy to prove that we had a good quality product that deserved to be in the places that he was going to take it to. So it was a good trial by fire.
It was a process.
Cool.
It was a process.
Yeah. That's good. No, that's good. That's good. Well, tell us a little bit about what you guys do over there at FYPM Ranch.
Well, I mean, it's not a lot of mystery. We raise Mangalitsa pigs, and it's kind of been our thing. We got into it 3.5 years ago. Just wanted to start a farm. We're kind of looking around. When you're coming up with a business plan, you're kind of thinking about what are you going to take the market? Where are you going to be in the market? How are you going to compete against your competition? A lot of farming is competing on price. We didn't feel like we would be able to compete on price, so we decided to push in a different direction and try to compete on quality. So we did our research. We found a really high quality breed, a Mangalitsa pig. Basically, like you already mentioned, it's very comparable to Wagyu in terms of its comparison, like how it looks compared to the rest of the pork world. It's got a really high level of muscular fat in it. It's got a much different flavor profile. It's very sweet, very buttery. Definitely different. And then
why does it look like that, you think? Is it just genetics like Wagyu?
Yeah, it's definitely genetics. Genetics and then condition that the animal's cared for. The exercise, basically going up and down the mountain every day is leg day out here, and that helps them build their muscle. Yeah, and it helps the muscular fat form properly.
Cool.
Yeah, the exercise.
Yeah. Just like,
and then the how we feed them, like how much we're feeding them. We don't free feed them their whole lives, because if we did, we would have an excessively lardy pig, and there would be very little meat compared to the fat ratio. So the feeding program also matters a lot. There's a lot of wrong ways to do Mangalitsa and very few right ways. So we're trying to make sure we do the right way.
They're called pigs for a reason, right? So they would just not stop eating if you gave them that opportunity.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to get into it now. I think but there's definitely some misunderstandings about the way pigs should be handled, at least these pigs. And then if you treat these pigs like the way that people treat a hamp or a duroc, they won't form correctly. They won't grow correctly. If like she said, if you free feed them all the time, they just stay by the feeder. They eat, they get satiated, they lay down, they get back up in a couple hours, eat some more, rinse, repeat, and everything. Like she's saying, that's how you end up with a very lardy pig that has like 6-8 inches of fat cap on it and just a little bit of muscle and stuff like that. Yeah.
that's where, you know, when we talked about Mangalitsa breeds, that's the first thing that like these guys said, you know, it's Tyler's like, I think I got a lot of that back fat on there.
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of recognized it. But that's not, you're saying that's not really the right way to do it, or that's incorrect.
Usually that indicates that the animal was free fed and then also confined.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick, when we picked our meat up from the processor, you know, our chops that came off the loin and stuff had maybe an inch of fat on them, and then we also asked for the back fat gap, and the back fat was only another half an inch to an inch. So we weren't, our pick super lardy. They have a good fat cap, but it's not so much that that's all you're going to get is fat. We have a really nice ratio of meat to that.
I think Chef Tyler has indicated in the past that he's seen some of those mismanaged manga. There's also a Facebook group for the manga, and you can go on there and you can kind of see, the whole range of well managed to mismanaged pigs, if you will. So there's plenty of examples out there.
Really?
People.
I participated in Cochon 555, the 5 pigs, 5 cities, 5 chefs competition, and kind of up in your neck of the woods. I won't tell you the farm, but that's exactly what I got. It ended up being about a 220-pound pig, pretty big, but literally the loin was like that, and the fat back was like that. It was I almost had to do like a fat utilization competition versus even just trying to do something neat with the meat, you know.
So you're showing that the fat, or the meat was about an inch and the fat was 2 inches on top of it.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Twice the size of the loin. It was wild.
Yeah, that pig probably wasn't allowed to exercise very much, would be my guess.
Yeah.
And so the problem there.
I made a lot of candles.
Say again, sir.
I made a lot of candles.
Oh, a large candles.
Is that really what you did with it?
Yeah, I did. One of those.
Nice.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Nice. The what was I gonna say? I lost it. Sorry.
So you're talking a lot about the exercising. Is that why a lot of people aren't raising these pigs? You know, they seem rare, right? And do they need to have a lot of different, you know, geographies and mountains and hills to climb, or can you raise them anywhere?
I think you could probably raise them anywhere. I think they turn out better when they're on a hill like this. I would say the main reason why you don't see them a lot is because they take a lot longer to bring to market. The standard meat breeds that are used in most farms, they can take a pig to harvest weight in 4 to 6 months. Our pigs take 12 to 15 months. Most people that are involved with the Mangalitsa breed will tell you that you can't get a pig to harvest before 15 or 16 months. But with our program, we can get them to harvest in 12 months. But that's still 3 times as long as, you know, those meat breeds. So commercial farming is like 3 months. Yeah.
Once they're
Durocs, and usually those Durocs that are brought to harvest in that quick of time are on some sort of animal protein supplement. So they're being given some sort of a meat or a milk product. Whey liquid or something like that. Yeah, to get that protein.
Yeah, we just. Oh man, we just did something. I think you just mentioned. We just did that podcast with Cian about poultry and chickens and how, you know, like commercial chickens are just fed to just expand and grow within weeks to harvest. So
crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, we know the difference dealing with, you know, commercial farming, big time farming, big ag. We know that it's sped up and everything. But with this is interesting to me because, you know, even the pigs that we get that aren't Mangalitsa from preservation meats and from pure country farms are very, very good. But this is just kind of like different, right? This is like Wagyu beef. We know that the Wagyu beef fat is different than prime beef fat. You know, it has so many different nutrients in that. Is that kind of the same style as the Mangalitsa? Like, is
Oh,
it
yeah.
have different
Oh yeah.
nutrients in the fat
Yes,
and everything
the-
like that?
the-
Would you know about, will you
Yeah,
expand
it
on
is
that?
chemically.
I love
the,
that.
the fat on the Mangalitsa is chemically different than the fat that you're going to find in other animals,
Mhm.
let alone other pigs. It is
Yeah.
very creamy and soft fat, like the Wagyus have. It melts even below body temperature, and research into traditional diets have proven that this fat is better for the human body than fat with a higher melting point. It's also rich in omega-3 fats. Like there's been some studies out of European universities that show that the manga has like 2 to 3 times as much omega-3 in it than fish do. And it's also lower in omega-6, which is, so sometimes when you talk to people and they say, oh, I don't like pork, I don't like to eat pork, it makes me feel bad, and stuff like that, some people have a reaction, an inflammation response to the omega-6 compounds in the animal fat, and that's why right there. So some of those people, if they tried Mangalitsa, they might not have that reaction, and they might enjoy it, might enjoy being able to eat pork.
Really?
We have learned in the beef world that in the Midwest, in the GMO world, they cram corn and grain in to finish the cattle so much and so fast that diminishes the 3s and 9s and jacks up the 6s. So it's like super duper unhealthy. And I think that's like a really huge point for us to make, like you guys to make, us to make, and educate everybody on eating well-raised animals and what the nutritional aspects are for you, you know?
I'm glad that you brought up the
Definitely.
corn and the soy. We do not feed corn and soy to our pigs. If you feed corn and soy to Mangalitsa, it ruins the fat. The fat, instead of coming out like nice, soft, and snowy white, it'll be hard and yellow. So totally ruins it. And then the other kind of neat thing about the Mangalitsa, if you want to finish them correctly, and if you want that fat to come out in that kind of legendary way that the manga is known for, you have to have them on a food supply that's high in tannins. The tannins
last like 60 to 90 days.
Yeah, the tannins serve as a antioxidant role in the fat. It keeps the fat from going rancid, basically.
Okay.
So what is that? Is it apples?
For us, it's
grapes,
barley.
Stuff that peels.
What is it, barley?
Yeah. There's barley in their diet, and barley is rich in tannins. Lincoln County, which is right below where we live, is like one of the 4th largest growing barley regions in America. So we source our barley locally.
Yeah, we feed them, part of their feed their whole life is barley, but for the last 60 to 90 days, we make it so that we mix their original feed with 50% barley. So there's way more for the last 60 to 90 days. And that just really makes them taste delicious.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good to know, because our beef over at Pure Country Farms too, they finish it on barley.
Yep.
And so you can tell that difference in that quality, and not just that it's not being shoved corn and crap down their throat, but like it's actually something that's good for them. So yeah, that's really interesting. That's really cool to hear.
The rest of the diet, I mean, like she said, they're on barley their whole lives, but everything else is basically just wheat and peas. Sometimes lentils, sometimes oats. Depends on what our feed guy has access to.
We work with a local farmer. We're not even using like one of the big producers that does grain. We work with a local guy that just mixes everything himself right there on the farm. So
we get shout out to Jeff.
Shout out
to Jeff.
Jeff Sainsbury down in Meco, Washington. That's where we get our grain. He's a great guy.
Yeah, very great guy.
Cool. It's a small farm down there. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's good. Knowing where your meat comes from and knowing where your meat's food comes from is even better.
For sure.
Mangalitsa are originally from Hungary, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you know any of the history of how the breed was introduced to the United States? Like, we get super deep into the Wagyu and Dr. Jerry Reeves and.
So manga actually have a really interesting story. Pork in general kind of has an interesting story. So we'll see how far back I can rewind the clock and tell
the introduction to the U.S.
Well, I know, but you gotta frame the picture. So we'll see if we can frame a picture and tell a decent story. So Mangalitsa were developed, I think, about 400 to 500 years ago in Eastern Europe, and they kind of quickly rose to dominance. They were the most popular pig for centuries in Europe because, I mean, they're so dang good, right? And the fat is extremely, extremely useful for baking, basically frying and everything else.
Yeah.
And so the Mangalitsa kind of dominated European pork for quite a while. And then in about the 1950s, something kind of strange happened. Everybody got convinced that animal fats were really unhealthy for you. And people wanted, yeah. Yeah. And so
who did that?
Yeah. Probably somebody that wanted to make some money by convincing people that that was true would be my guess.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
right?
as the consumer demands changed, Mangalitsa fell out of favor, and the other white meat rose to dominance, right? And so because Mangalitsa weren't in demand and weren't popular anymore, the breed actually almost went extinct in the 1980s. There was only 200 to 300 pigs left in Hungary, and then this gentleman whose name I cannot remember was over in Hungary on a business trip. He stumbled into the pork and the breed, tasted it, blew his socks off. He never tasted anything like that before, and said, "Well, we got to do something." And he got involved in trying to save the breed. He got some pigs imported into America, and that kind of just got the ball rolling. I think he got the first pigs over here in like 1990 or 91.
It was in the 90s at some point, yeah.
Yeah, early 90s.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
that's like that story like mirrors Wagyu beef. You know, like guys went over there in the 80s and were trying to like, what the heck is this? I've never seen anything like it. And then they figured out a way to get it.
They actually went to Japan to introduce our Angus to the Japanese.
The Japanese,
because they thought it was the best in the world. And they were like,
well, they had a shortage too. They needed more. They needed more over there. So they were trying to get the contract to produce more over there. And they're like, we've never seen this. That's fun. And they brought it over like in the 90s and, you know, technically 78, but legally in the 90s. But that's funny that it almost like mirrors Wagyu beef. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I actually just pulled up the information because we are MBOR members, which is the Mangalitsa Breed Organization and Registry. We're really, we talk a lot actually with Barbara, who is one of the founding members, and she actually imported the breed from the Netherlands in 2014 and then brought more pigs over in 2016. So they have actually not been in the U.S. for very long.
Wow, that's crazy.
And some of
really only 10 years.
Yeah, actually, our boar came from one of the lines that like originated. Like they still have.
I think that's like the second time that they brought him over, because I think I'm pretty sure the first time they brought him over was in 90.
I'm not saying nobody's ever done it before, but she did it with the intention of growing the breed here, and she kind of founded the organization and the registry and everything, and like our herd book here in the US. And she's just an excellent person. She's very passionate about everything. And if you have questions, she's very helpful. And she just wants to, you know, keep the breed alive and make sure we all have good genetics. And
she helps us. Really she helps us source our breeding stock.
Yeah.
Which is how we made sure we got.
So is there? Yeah. Is there like an association or anything? Like sounds like she kind of has that.
Yeah.
Like stronghold over it, right? Like when Wagyu, they have to be, you know, identified by the Wagyu Association of America and American Wagyu Association, and so like you can see the bloodlines, the traceability all the way back to Japan. Is that kind of the same thing in Mangalitsa?
That's exactly what MBOR is. It's the breed registry. Yeah.
And she.
Oh, what was it called?
Hungary. All of the original pigs.
What was your question?
What was the association called again?
So it's MBOR, like a male pig. So it's Mangalitsa Breed Organization and Registry.
Cool. I'm gonna check that out. That's cool.
Yeah, they have a lot of information.
Let me ask you something.
Yeah, they have a lot of info on there. If you guys want to find more stuff out. So.
Yeah.
You ever give these piggies haircuts?
No.
I tell you what, if you come over here, I'll try and hold one down, and you can run the scissors, and we'll see.
Oh, God, that sounds awful.
So on that, what do they look like? Because I don't think a lot of people know what they even look like.
I wish we could show.
Can you describe what they look like?
They almost look like a.
I was just gonna say like a Frankenstein pig got crossed with a sheep.
Yeah, none of them are overdoing it. So.
They don't.
They're goofy looking.
Yeah,
Look like lambs or
they
something.
do.
Yeah.
In fact, our
Those
logo,
look
we're
cool.
pretty sure that our logo that we use, like the guy like just kind of modified a sheep picture
With a pig head.
and put a pig head on it. Yeah.
We just rolled with it. We were like, well,
Really?
it's not
Yeah.
inaccurate.
Yeah.
Because it has that type of. Did they do anything with the? Is it hair or?
Yes, sir.
It's a bristle like a boar
Yeah.
would have, and there's not really
It's not like
anything
a
to do. It's
woolly-
pretty coarse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Okay.
Maybe back in the day, before synthetic fibers and stuff, maybe somebody was doing something with it, but we don't have any
like,
commercial.
yeah. There's no way
application
to
for it.
weave it into or spin it into a fiber. It's not long enough, and it doesn't really stick to itself, so you can't really do.
Okay. That's crazy. Yeah, because it just looks like a sheep when I'm looking at one. I'm
Yeah.
like, geez, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's something
It's all
to that.
curly and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets thick. They
That's
put on a
funny.
winter coat. It gets really thick in the winter.
You really
and
gotta like dig to find their skin in there.
Yeah.
It gets real.
They do
Wow.
really, really well. I think when you interviewed Seamus from I always mispronounce his business, Norchino, he was saying that Washington is actually great for raising
Oh,
pigs.
yeah.
You just got to find a pig that can live on your land.
Mhm.
And that's totally true. And Mangalitsa do really, really well out here in northeastern Washington. Yeah, because we have a similar climate to where they're from, and they do really well in the cold. So our pigs are outside their whole lives. They're farrowed outside, and they have three-sided shelters, but they're outside through all the Washington winters and everything. Out here in Ferry County is actually the coldest county in Washington.
Chilly.
Oh yeah, it gets like
Yeah.
-10, -20, very, very cold, and it doesn't slow them down a bit. They love it. Now,
Really?
yeah. That being said, they do have a little bit of a hard time with the heat because they're lard pigs.
Mhm.
They are well insulated.
Yeah.
So we have to hose
Yeah.
them down like twice a day. Make sure they have good wallows and fresh water and everything to make sure that they are comfortable and not experiencing heat stress. And
Yeah.
We've actually farrowed piglets in December with no issues at all, and they all did really great. And then we've also farrowed in the summertime, and the moms were miserable.
yeah, I actually try not to have
Yeah.
them pregnant, like super pregnant in the height of summer.
Yeah.
Because you think about the sow, basically, they're already a lard pig, and then they have like this space heater
Yeah.
going on in their belly. Yeah, where they're incubating those little piglets. So we try not to do that if we can help it.
Yeah, and farrowing in the winter is not uncommon for the breed. There are other farmers that do that also. As long as they have shelter with straw, they're totally fine.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Well, do you guys go for? I know you have a target time of how long you raise. Do you go for a target weight at all? Do you look for like that hanging weight of 180, 200?
Our harvest
220,
weight on the hoof, we like to see 300 pounds.
300.
They at
That's
12
viscerated.
months they're hanging at 220. By 15 months they're around 250. So
Yeah.
it's 220 to 260, I'll say, because we've had some that were a little over 250.
It's the more dominant
Wow.
personalities.
Do you have at your harvest time? Do you guys have like USDA people come out and do the slaughter for you, or you guys do all that stuff yourself?
We trailer them down to Pure Country. We actually have them processed at Pure Country.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
So we.
How does the
So you go.
Go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, how does the processing work? Because Tyler tells me about when he was on the farm and they were slaughtering pigs for the pig dinner. Like the worst part was cleaning the skin and the bristle. Like
That's
always talks about
that's
that.
part
So
of the
I'm
reason.
interested to hear
That's
how
part of
this
the reason why we like to go to Pure Country is because they have a scalding tank.
Yeah.
And the scalding tank
Yeah.
releases the
Okay.
hair and makes that part easy. Otherwise, you have to scrape. And you can imagine that's not good on these pigs.
They have a really nice
Oh my
streamlined
God.
process.
In fact,
yeah.
I think
I have-
the few times we've had them scraped, I don't think I've ever seen anybody like actually get them cleaned up. Like there's always
A little hair in the
a
belly.
little
Yeah.
hair on the
Yeah.
belly still. Yeah, it's not.
Little
It's not as
hair
good.
on-
I have nightmares
Wow.
of scraping pigs. It was just the worst.
Rightly so.
Wow.
Rightly so.
You know, we've never harvested pig on farm before. We get them ready for the trailer like a couple weeks before processing. So the morning of processing, they are on the trailer already waiting to be fed. We
Yeah,
just shut the door
that's-
and away we go.
That's another thing. That's another thing that we try to emphasize in our program is low stress handling.
Yeah.
And so, like she was saying, we train the pigs to get on the trailer, so that allows the pigs to be really comfortable on the trailer. And when they're riding around, there's like no stress. And I don't know how like I don't know like how detailed, but you can tell when a pig is stressing. There's like different elevations in their behavior. The first one is stress shitting.
Pooping?
Sorry, I don't know if this is a children's program.
Nope.
Sorry.
Oh heck no! Yeah, we get into it here, so don't worry.
So
we're
It's
more
not
than
a smell
PG
that you
person.
will forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely smells.
Really
It smells uniquely different than their regular manure when they start to stress poop. So we don't have that in our operation anymore. When they're on the trailer, they don't stress poop, and that's like their first level of like, hey, I don't like this. I don't feel good about what's happening here.
Yeah.
It's like almost a pheromone for the other pigs to let them know that something's
Yeah.
happening. Hey, caution.
Thumbs up.
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
It is.
Yeah.
it's interesting.
What we learned at Pure Country, they're so in tune with the health of the animal and how mainly the process is there. Like they know how the pitch is, so when the animal's walking to its last moments, has no idea. There's no stress. They're like,
Yeah,
these guys are
that's
so
a
great.
that's a big part of like why we like to deal with them. We've sampled several different processors in the state, and every time we go into a new processor, I always tour the facility and I always watch them put a pig down because I want to make sure that they're doing it humanely. We put a lot of work into raising these pigs and giving them the best possible life that we can, and we rely on the processor to end their life in the most humane and ethical way possible in order to facilitate the harvest. So I've only seen one bad I don't know what the right words to use.
They weren't put down
Style.
Yeah,
luckily, it was one pig, and we never did that again.
Yeah, we never went. Yeah, so usually we give them a trial pig, like one pig. We don't bring in a whole load of like 10 or 20 for them to mess up.
Yeah.
And so that guy swung and missed on his trial pig, and we never went back.
Dang. That's important, man. You know, we talked on the phone. You talked a lot about ethical farming practices, and that's something that we're very passionate about. It's of course for the animal, but also for the end product. It's just as important for the end product.
Yeah.
And to me, like, you know, what are some of the things you guys do on the farm, you know, besides finding great processors and raising them humanely? Like, what are some other things that you guys do? Because I found it interesting talking to Pure Country. Like Tyler said, they know the grade of how far it takes to get the pigs on the trailer, and you know the slope, so they're not prodding them and stuff like that. They're not stressed. So what are some of those things you guys do too?
Are you familiar with Temple Grandin at all?
I'm not.
So she kind of pioneered the low stress animal handling, and so I don't really know how to get too deep into it, but we do a lot of her practices where we don't hard pressure them. You know, we're not using any shocks. I mean, we barely even have to use rattle paddles with them. Usually a pig board is plenty, and we're not crowding them. We're not getting in their space. We're going really wide, really gentle.
Yeah. If they start, like I said, you know, they have different behaviors that they use to show that they're stressed, and if they start to show that they're stressed, we back off and leave them alone. Like she said, we don't use pig boards really. Beyond like the gentle handling and everything, we also use small pod sizes.
Yeah.
So that there's not a lot of competition on the food. So that
no more than 10 and the pens are usually about an acre.
Yeah. So that allows them to not get in each other's faces, not compete over the food.
No tail biting.
No tail biting. No ear biting. So I don't know, like, so, you know, when farming is like sometimes really nitty gritty, and then sometimes like the general public, like, you know, like they're not like really ready for all the grittiness of farming. But I would say you can like tell me to stop, but
it's fine.
When it comes to castrating too, there's also a very specific way to castrate pigs that basically dramatically reduces or eliminates the chances of a hernia. If you're going to have a problem in your herd and herd health and things like that, in my opinion, it's going to come from bad castration practices that lead to infection and hernias. So the way that we castrate is designed to explicitly avoid those problems. And to date, there's no wood knocked on here, but to date we haven't had any hernias or any problems in our herd.
No complications from the actual castration, no hernias, no
amazing.
from castration.
Yeah,
none of that.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, there's so many little things. You're right. People don't want to kind of get into the nitty grittiness of it, but there's things that happen on farms that need to happen for specific reasons. And like, it's nice to know that, you guys are handling with care. You care about the animal, you care about the end product, you care about where it's getting processed, and those are big things that we want to know. Our consumers want to know. We'll bring some stuff into our some of your guys' product into our meat case here because we want to show that we understand where things come from. We love what you guys are doing as far as we know. So. We want to bring some stuff in and kind of check it out ourselves as well.
We would love to be in your store. Is that what you're saying? Like you want us to be in your store?
Yeah,
right,
totally.
I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. That was like inviting myself in or something.
No. I mean, like for us, like this is great.
Dude,
we understand where it comes from the farm.
That would be so awesome.
Huge,
that'd be like a real
that's...
honor. You guys run a hell of a nice store, so it'd be a real honor to be in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh man, thank you. We love having good, cool product that people want, that's different, that's raised well, that's raised with care. So
it would be maybe fun for us to do something together too, because usually in the fall I'll do a couple whole hog butchering classes.
Yeah.
And to showcase your product and the whole story, and all of it is crazy educational for our people that come.
Yeah.
And one of the big eye openers that I teach to the class is like how much work it takes to take out a tenderloin, right?
I've seen
wiggling and wrestling that pig, and then I pull out these two little tenderloins, and then I tell people, I'm like, when you go to the grocery store and there's rows of tenderloins, you're picking out whichever one you want. There's thousands of pounds of other animal that what happens to it. So the whole, not only just like learn how to butcher, kind of some basics, but the whole, mindset of how to utilize a whole animal and do the right thing, right?
That's one of the things that we liked about working with Cien is that he got us into places that are practicing whole animal butchery, and then we know that when that pig went to those places, that those people used up every piece of the pig from the snout to the tail. And I'll also say I've seen your content about the animals being utilized, and especially your stuff about the Hollywood cuts and how that's only about like 13% of the cow, and how that's a lot of rest of the cow there left on the table. And I agree. People need to know more about that, and it's a shame. Big part of the problem is the way that farms have to connect into the logistics supply to go to grocery stores. And when it's a grocery store and the way that they operate, they don't want like that variety of choice, right? A lot of the times when you're dealing with menus and giving customers choices, you want to narrow their choice down so that you can kind of control what's going to happen in the store, and you can control how much money you're going to make, and the inventory is going to turn and everything. You're not just going to be like holding on to a couple hundred pounds of skirt steak that nobody wants or whatever. So it's kind of and they don't want it because they don't know what to do with it. I mean, it's not that it's not good or anything. It's just that people don't know how to cook like they maybe should.
It's lack of education.
Which is why your guys' work is so important.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, and speaking of that, like the whole animal butchery, we went to Bar R Ranch down in Pullman, and they did a whole Wagyu auction, and Wagyu. They broke down like the cow and talked about how to utilize it, and they broke down a leg and said, we're actually going to try to cut steaks out of this leg and see if they're actual stakeable items, because a lot of times those are just big roasty, braisy kind of things, or scrap, right? Or just for burger, whatever. And so on the pig, obviously, you've got the chops and you got the loin and you got the belly. And a lot of times they're like, oh, the shoulder is great for pulled pork and the butt and everything like that. Is there different ways you can utilize this pig? Or are you guys finding any unique ways to do that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know how unique it is, but every time we process and we get things back, we get like different choices, I guess. Like this time we got neck bones back. And none of our other processors that we use, and sirloin roast, which we've never gotten before too, which look like spectacular. I wish I had something to show you in the camera, but the coloring and the marbling on them is absolutely fantastic.
So it's a little harder with USDA processors because they don't give you a lot of options. But when we've had custom processing done, there's shoulder bacon, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah, big fan.
You can do steaks from the back legs from the hams, and because there's so much intramuscular marbling with the Mangalitsas, they actually taste really good. It's not dry and plain like a commercial ham would be.
Sure.
But yeah, whole muscle, like charcuterie stuff. People take whole muscles and turn them into salumi. Or I'm not sure I'm saying the right word for that.
What's your guys' favorite cut off of it?
I'm not that. I like a pork chop or she just said it.
The shoulder bacon.
The shoulder bacon. Yeah, the shoulder bacon is really, really a treat.
Yeah. I just like the shoulder in general. I made a shoulder roast the other night, and it was really, really simple, and it was just buttery and sweet.
You too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love a good shoulder. I don't know.
Dude, shoulder. Shoulder is magical.
Yes.
The copa?
Yeah, because there's clusters of different muscles in that shoulder.
Yeah, there are.
Have different dynamics and it's so
And
delicious. My favorite.
With our pigs, because they're on pasture, they're out there rooting the land the whole time, and they're just building that shoulder.
Yeah.
That shoulder is connected down to their neck and everything, and it's where that tractor power comes from their nose.
Yeah, I posted a reel about it, and it was just the marbling. Just it almost looked like
looks like beef.
Like beef, like some of the American
Really?
Yeah.
you can get here.
Yeah.
Dang, that's cool. It's cool to hear about utilization, though. I think that like you brought up, that's one of the biggest things that people are like, well, I can get a New York or ribeye or a tenderloin, and that's about it, And like the pig, I can get the bacon and the shoulder and chop, But it's cool to like open people up to understanding that there's so much more, and if we utilize really good breeds like this, we can actually get more stakeable items. And people can have more variety, and also those items usually aren't as expensive as a pork chop.
Yeah,
right?
It's that classic thing.
There's
and I bet Chef Tyler could probably speak to it better than I can, where things start out as like peasant food, and then people develop it into like an amazing dish, and then everybody else catches on to it, and they're like, hey, this isn't peasant food. This is delicious.
Actually really good, yeah. I mean, there's so much stuff that we do. The zabuton and Denver steak. Out of the animal, we sell more of those now than we almost sell of New York's, because we've hyped them up so much because they're such a great cut and they're so affordable.
That's
so
it's
Terrace Major.
Oh, sorry, what'd you say, Tyler?
Yeah.
Terrace Major is a really huge one here too.
Yeah.
Because we've slowly just kind of educated our clientele on. It's almost like I give them a tour map, like a Disneyland tour map. I'm like, okay, so this week you're going to try this one, and this week you're going to try that one. And in the case, there's all these little pieces that they can take home, and for 2 to 3, 4 people, families, so you don't have to come in and buy a 3-pound bone-in ribeye, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I always tell people, or I kind of run the philosophy myself, that you don't necessarily want to be eating like a bunch of meat. You don't necessarily need to eat like big plates of meat stacked high. But really high quality meat used for flavor makes your dishes so much better.
Yes, exactly.
That's been our resonating tone for the last month.
Yeah.
We're not trying to tell people you need to eat more meat. You need to eat better meat.
Yeah. So it actually has
quality.
So it's not empty calories, and it's got actual nutritional value in there and good flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally. Jeez. So with, I know we talk a lot about the labels, organic and all that stuff. There are things like that you want to talk about on like food certification programs and things like that with Mangalitsa, or how? Because I know we were on the phone, you were like, oh man, some of this stuff is just so ridiculous. It's just insane. It doesn't mean anything. We talk a lot about labels and what they really mean. Are there things specific to the pigs? Or are there things you guys run into at your farm that that you care to talk about?
So I'll say two things, maybe two or three different kinds of things. Number one, so when we were getting into this and we were trying to figure out like what kind of farm do we want to be, and what's the right way to be a good farmer and stuff like that, we actually learned a lot from the GAP program. I always mess up the acronym. Yeah, is it Global Animal Practices?
Yeah.
I can't remember either.
Is that the 5 stages?
Yeah, they got five. Yeah, they got five.
5 and 5
Yeah,
plus.
and so they emphasize a lot of ethical and humane handling, and good clean environments and conditions and everything. So we learned a lot about how to improve our farming practices from them, and there's a worksheet used for like getting certified and stuff. And so we basically did it to ourselves. We went through and looked at the worksheet and answered the questions and said, all right, this is what's going on, this is what we should do different, things like that. So we learned a lot from it. But at the same time, what I'll say about those kind of programs from the perspective of a small farmer is that if you're familiar with economics, those programs are basically a classical barrier to entry, right? So they make it harder to get into different markets and to reach different customers if you don't have them. And then having them costs money. So the business model of those programs is basically monetized trust. The premise, or pay to play. The premise of the programs is that a guy like me, a farmer like me, you can't trust me. You need to have a program come in and say, this guy's not pumping his pigs full of antibiotics. This is the only, and the premise there is the only way the consumer can trust the product from the farmer is if they pay to get certified from one of these programs. And that, it's prohibitive for a small farm like us. We're not rolling in cash. And then there's also a compliance requirement, which is like another cost, right? Basically, we have to use our time to monitor. So like, there's all these worksheets you have to fill out on everything you're doing all the time.
When you have your farm inspection, you have to pay to have the inspector come out, and then you have to pay to be a member of the program, and it's all.
And then you have to recertify
every year. Yeah.
So I guess my message to people is that those programs are a business too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We can never be organic certified because it's incredibly costly to be.
There's a guy down the road who owns an apple orchard. He wanted to get himself organic certified. He put himself out of business doing it.
Yep.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, the sad part. The sad part about that is that guy that orchard produces the best apples I've ever had in my life. Like the apples that come out of there, delicious. You don't even know apples could taste that good. But I never will either.
Other orchards, but
there's other orchards, but I mean, he had something going on there. The apples were fantastic.
But it's unfortunate, though. You're right, because I mean, on one end, yes, like we don't want just people saying all this stuff, like I have the best pigs because, and they're really pumping them full of shit. But on the other hand, like there's got to be easier ways for like good companies to actually like. Be able to get the word out, be able to be trusted.
So I'll tell you, that is the main reason why I wanted to be on the show with you guys, is just to create that transparency myself, so that people can see this. They see we're just regular people who are committed to raising really high quality pork, trying to produce the best pork we possibly can for the consumer, and that's it. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
We've also been pushing ourselves to post a lot more on social media and to be really transparent with people and like have videos of our day-to-day stuff so that people can see what we're doing here. That's extra work. You understand, you're doing the podcast with the video editing and all that stuff. It takes a lot of extra time, but that is one way that people can see what we're doing. Just posting stuff all the time.
Exactly. Just showing them straight up. This is who we are. This is what we're doing. We're not hiding anything. And we learned a lot when we went on that tour, Pure Country. And one of the things that really got me excited was that they were just so open and honest, with us about everything, how everything's done, and it made me go, like even more so, just be able to trust these guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys are doing any tours like that. They take energy and time and everything like that, of
Not
course.
like,
But
I don't know,
that's
if somebody like not like open to the public tours, that kind of sketches me out,
Yeah.
because we live on a steep hill, so the pigs really earn that myoglobin in their muscle, and there's stuff out
Some
here.
insurance problems.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Insurance problems?
Maybe some insurance.
Yeah, that's
problems.
exactly where I was going with that. That's exactly where I was going with
Yeah.
that. There's stuff out here for people to fall on. There's stuff for
All the
people
time.
to trip on. Yeah.
I'm incredibly clumsy. I get hurt all the time.
Yeah. No. Man. Well, this has been really cool, guys. Really eye-opening. We got to do a video sometime on Wagyu beef and Mangalitsa pork, and like side by side and cooking them and stuff.
I'm excited for what could be done there, especially if you guys end up with some manga in the shop and everything. I'm excited to see what kind of content you guys can make with that.
I'm happy to ship some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll take that.
Totally, and yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and we'll hit up CN and get some stuff in here too. So
yeah,
I think it'd be really cool. It's interesting to us. It's different. It's interesting. It's healthy. The nutritional benefits are amazing. That's what we like. That's what our consumers want to know about, and that's what we like to talk about. So it's a cool fit.
And once they try it, the flavor of good pork, it's just bar none. I mean.
They already know.
I like all cuts, whatever. I do pork chops at home for me and my kids, and every time I do, I'm like, God damn, this is such a simple cut of meat, but it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's so delicious.
Where it's from.
I'm not good enough I'm not like a sommelier. I can't like use the right words to convey like how good the flavor is on the pork and everything. Yeah. But we've definitely had that experience where we've had somebody try it and then just come back the next day and buy more. And then the next day after that, for some people they can get hooked on it.
Well, we've even had people that are not very good at cooking, and they do the whole like just throw the pork chops in the oven type of thing. And they did that, salt, pepper. I think they coated it in honey, and they went, "This is the best pork chop I've ever had." And all they did was bake it.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Crazy.
Because I'm sure the difference between a store-bought pork chop and then your Mangalitsa pork chop and just pork in general has got to be completely insane. The difference in quality.
It's not.
That looks like a different animal, right?
Yeah, we have another picture on our Instagram where we put a bunch of chops on a cookie tray, and we put two store chops, like the best stuff that the store had, like premium, whatever. Put that stuff in next to our stuff. And it doesn't even look like it's off the same kind of animal.
I will say the cut was a little different. Ours were bone-in, the other ones were boneless. So, just like the loin cut. And ours had some of the muscles around the loin on it still. So, but you could still look at the loin on ours and look at the loin from the store, and you could still.
We're looking at that photo.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right there.
Oh my gosh.
And it looks even better this year.
Yeah,
it just gets better.
Yeah, so that's another thing that like with the way we do stuff, because it takes so long between when they farrow and when we crack them open and find out what's inside. We don't know what's going to happen, right? Until the end. We don't know if we've elevated our game or if we've improved from last year until 15, 16 months into it. And this year, this harvest, we improved.
Well, we hung them for 10 days this year before they were cut. And that's I think that did a lot of.
I wanted to try a longer hang time. I know you guys know, like most pork's only hung for like 2 or 3 days, but that's because most pork doesn't have the fat to hold up to a longer hanging process. So with our pigs, because they have that more fat in them, I thought we're not going to go like 20, 30 days like beef or whatever, but let's try 10 days. Let's see what happens with 10 days, and it's fantastic. Yeah,
really good.
Really good.
Wow. Jeez. Well, that's awesome, guys. Hey, we gotta wrap it up here. We gotta open up this restaurant soon. But is there anything else you guys want the people to know about your breed of Mangalitsa pig?
If you don't, I don't really know what to say. if you don't support it, then it won't be around. I guess would be what I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
find us.
Well,
Where are we at?
we're gonna have to
FYPM Ranch
FYPMranch.shop.
.shop.
Well, we should have that up front
FYPM
in a few
Ranch
days.
.shop.
Yeah. Well, by the time
Yeah,
you
we'll put that in there.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, yeah. And then what's your Instagram handle?
FYPM Ranch.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Just FYPM Ranch.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
following you.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Appreciate
know.
it.
Yeah. You guys are following the meat dudes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
You guys
Craig
are
followed
commenting. I love seeing it.
Yeah.
No, this is cool. We'll definitely. I mean, we got to stay in touch because we're gonna bring some stuff in, and then when we get over there, we might have to pop on and see you guys because we got to get over to we're going back to Bar R down in Pullman, and we got to just maybe pull up and see you guys
Yeah,
on
if
the
you
way.
come through, you're
and
more than
check it out.
welcome. You're more than welcome to, and we'll set that up.
Yeah, we're pretty low on
Yeah,
pigs right now. We're about to farrow early November, so all of our other meat pigs
Cool.
are gone.
Well, no, we have
Well, they'll be gone in the
9
next couple
more,
weeks,
but
so,
yeah.
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 We just have breeding pigs, but yeah,
If we don't let these guys go, they're not gonna.
Yeah,
we're not
right,
gonna
yeah,
stop
gotcha.
talking. Yeah, we're not gonna stop.
No
we gotta let
worries.
you
We love
guys
it.
get your business up and running for the day, because I can talk
No,
about
man.
pork and pigs and stuff pretty much all day long.
There you go. Smoke some pork cheeks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, we'll come down. We'll come down and visit you guys, and then we'll shoot another podcast, and we'll have some pigs in the background. We'll see how that
That'd
looks.
be awesome.
So that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, this was really cool, guys. Thank you, Chad and Ashley. We appreciate you guys, man. This has been awesome, and I really didn't know anything about the breed until I met you or talked to you and started talking to Tyler about it. So
Well, we really
I don't know how well known this is in the U.S.
Say again, sir.
Yeah. I said I don't know how well known the breed is,
Not
but
very.
I mean we want to try to get it up and help out.
Yeah.
Because this seems really great. We're gonna bring it in and do some taste testing.
That's what I was gonna say. It's fun. It's good that we've started the knowledge circle or whatever, raise the awareness.
Yeah.
But you really got to complete it by taste
yeah.
testing.
Send me an email and I'll send you guys a box of meat.
Yeah, okay. Because it looks amazing on your guys' Instagram. Like it looks like the type of meat that I
That
want
is
to
not-
eat.
It
I
is.
want to
It's
throw on
honestly,
my-
that was the first thing CN wanted to know. He thought we were using a filter on all those
Yeah.
pictures and everything.
Yep, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
They look awesome, man.
All right.
Well, thank you again. Hey, we're gonna sign it off here for the Meat Dudes, and we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you, Chad. Thank you. I actually really appreciate it.
Likewise, Evan and Tyler. You guys have a good day.